It had been 2 years since the accident, but sometimes it still felt like yesterday. The sound of tires screeching, the glass shattering, the pain that followed. It all lived somewhere deep inside Maya Torres. Once she'd been a dancer. The stage had been her second home. Her body, her language. But after that night when her car spun across the wet road and everything went black, she woke up in a hospital bed unable to move her legs. The doctors told her she was lucky to be alive. For a long time, that word didn't feel like luck at all. Now, 2 years later, she sat in front of her mirror, curling her hair slowly. She had agreed to a date, her first one since the accident. Her best friend had convinced her it was time, that she deserved a fresh start. Maya had spent the morning choosing her outfit, finally settling on a soft blue dress. It made her feel like herself again, or at least like the version she still wanted to believe in. She checked her reflection one last time before wheeling herself out of her apartment and toward the little cafe on 3rd Avenue. The cafe smelled like fresh coffee and cinnamon. Soft music played in the background, and sunlight poured through the windows. Maya had arrived early. She picked a corner table by the window, enough space to move her wheelchair comfortably without bumping into other chairs. Her hands trembled slightly as she adjusted her dress. She told herself to breathe. It was just coffee. Just one conversation. When the man finally walked in, she recognized him immediately from his pictures. Clean-cut, tall, confident. She waved and smiled, hoping he would see her before the chair. For a moment he did, but then his eyes dropped. She saw the change in his face, the flicker of disappointment. He walked over, but there was no warmth in his voice when he spoke. "You didn't mention this in your profile," he said. "I was going to tell you in person," Maya replied softly. He sighed, looking around as people started to glance in their direction. "I'm sorry, but I'm not interested in this. I don't do pity dates." His words hit like a punch to the chest. Then he walked out just like that. The door chimed behind him and the cafe went silent. Maya sat frozen, trying not to cry. The coffee in front of her had gone cold. She wanted to disappear, to roll herself out the door and pretend none of this had happened. But before she could move, a small voice broke the silence. "Why is that lady sad?" Maya looked up. A little girl stood a few feet away holding a toy car. Beside her was a man in a gray sweater, maybe mid-30s, with tired but kind eyes. "Emma," the man said gently. "Remember what we said about asking personal questions?" The girl looked up at him, then back at Maya. "But she looks sad, Daddy." The man crouched beside his daughter, giving Maya an apologetic smile. "I'm sorry about that. She's still learning about boundaries." "It's okay," Maya said, her voice shaky but sincere. "She's just curious." Emma took a small step closer. "Did someone make you sad?" Maya nodded once. "Yeah, someone did." The man straightened. "Would you mind if we joined you for a bit?" "Only if you'd like company." Maya hesitated. She wanted to say no, to be alone. But there was something kind in his eyes. Something that didn't feel like pity. "Sure," she said quietly. "Why not?" He introduced himself as Daniel and the girl as Emma. The child climbed onto the chair beside him and set her toy car on the table like it was part of the group. "I like your dress," Emma said. "It's the color of the sky." Maya smiled for the first time that day. "Thank you. And I like your car." Daniel smiled too, and for a while the air around the table felt lighter. They talked about small things, coffee, work, the weather. Maya learned that Daniel was an architect. He designed rehabilitation centers, spaces for people healing from accidents and illnesses. When she asked why that kind of work, his voice softened. "My wife had cancer. She spent a lot of time in rehab facilities. Some were good, some not so good. I wanted to build better ones." Maya didn't ask more, but she understood the grief in his voice. After that day, Daniel and Emma became a small part of her life. They started meeting for coffee on weekends. Sometimes Emma came along, sometimes not. Daniel had a quiet steadiness about him. He listened not with pity but with genuine attention. Maya found herself telling him about the things she missed. The stage, the music, the feeling of movement. He never tried to fix it. He just listened. One day she showed him her sketches. Since the accident, she'd started drawing. Women in wheelchairs dancing, flying, doing the impossible. They make me feel free again, she said. Daniel looked at the drawings for a long time. They're beautiful, he said. You should share them. Weeks passed and the connection between them deepened. They laughed more. Maya felt lighter, like pieces of her old self were slowly returning. But not everyone saw it that way. At an art event Daniel invited her to, Maya overheard two women whispering near the refreshment table. That's Daniel, one said. The architect who lost his wife. I heard he's dating that woman in the wheelchair. How noble of him, the other woman chuckled. Guess he's turning his grief into charity now. The words cut deep. Maya froze, staring at her reflection in the glass. Was that what people thought? That she was some act of kindness, some good deed? The thought made her sick. When Daniel found her outside a few minutes later, she could barely look at him. I need to go, she said quietly. What happened? He asked. Nothing, she lied, turning away. I just can't do this. For days she ignored his calls. She buried herself in her sketches, trying to push down the hurt. She told herself it was better this way. Safer not to hope, not to trust. Then one morning, a package arrived at her door. Inside was a wooden box with her name carved on it. She opened it and froze. Inside were 3 small children's books, professionally printed, full of her drawings. The titles read The Girl Who Could Fly, The Mountain on Wheels, and The Strongest Heart. Each page held her sketches, turned into bright, colorful stories. At the bottom of the box was a note in Daniel's handwriting. Maya, you once told Emma that dancing isn't just about moving. It's about feeling alive. Your art shows that better than words ever could. These books aren't a project. They're a thank you for reminding me that life can keep growing even after loss. You didn't just inspire me. You showed Emma a world where courage looks different. Daniel. Maya sat on the floor holding the letter. For the first time in a long while, she let herself cry. Not from pain, but from something like relief. She sent him a message that evening. You didn't fix me. You helped me see I wasn't broken, he replied almost instantly. Coffee tomorrow? Just us. When they met again, it was at the same cafe, but everything felt different. Maya chose a table in the center this time, not in the corner. She wasn't hiding anymore. Daniel brought her favorite vanilla latte from another shop and smiled shyly as he sat down. I remembered, he said. She thanked him, and for a moment they just sat in comfortable silence. Then she spoke. I'm sorry for what I said or didn't say. I thought you were trying to save me. Daniel shook his head. I wasn't. I don't want to save anyone. I just wanted to be there, with you. She looked at him for a long time. That's all I ever wanted too. After that, they started again, slowly, honestly. Their days weren't perfect. Maya still had bad ones, days when frustration crept in. Daniel had his own moments of grief, memories that hit out of nowhere. But they learned to talk about it, to give each other space without letting go. Emma was the thread that kept them grounded. She adored Maya. Maya taught her how to draw, and together they filled sketchbooks with stories, cars that could fly, oceans made of stars, heroes who looked like ordinary people. Months later, one of Maya's drawings made it into a local art exhibit. People stopped and stared at her work. Women in wheelchairs soaring through skies, climbing mountains, laughing without apology. Reporters asked her what inspired her. She smiled and said, life and the people who stayed. Daniel stood in the back of the room that night watching her with quiet pride. When the crowd thinned, he walked up to her and whispered, You did it. No, she said softly. We did. That night as they drove home with Emma asleep in the back seat, Maya looked out the window at the city lights and felt something she hadn't felt in years. Peace. The pain hadn't vanished, but it no longer defined her. She glanced at Daniel and smiled. "You know," she said, "for a story that started with a terrible date, this turned out pretty good." Daniel laughed. "Yeah, not bad at all." Maya reached for his hand. "Let's keep it real," she said. "No rescuing, no fixing, just living." He squeezed her hand gently. "Just living," he agreed. And for the first time in a long time, that was enough.